There it is. Good morning, Cityside. Happy Sunday. We're going to stand together and sing Our Lovin' Will Change the World. Here we go. Love, love, love everybody. Love, love, love. When it's hard to love, love, our loving will change the world. Share, 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 share who you are and share, share, share. When it's hard to share, share, our sharing will change the world. Sing, 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 sing all together. Sing, sing, sing. When it's hard to sing, sing, our singing will change the world. Care, 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 care for each other. Care, care, care for the ones who need care. Our caring will change the world. Find me here, singing for you, heart wide open for what we came to do. Wind in the trees, sing the melody true. Love everybody, let the love shine through. Everybody sing love, love, love everybody. Love, love, love. When it's hard to love, love, our loving will change the world. Let's sing love again. Love, love, love everybody. Love, love, love. When it's hard to love, love, our loving will change the world. Our loving will change the world. Our caring will change the world. Our sharing will change the world. Our singing will change the world. Our loving will change the world. Your loving will change the world. Our loving will change the world. Our next song today is Gentle with Myself. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I love myself like a newborn baby child. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I love myself like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself. And I hold myself like a newborn baby child. I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself. And I hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I rock myself like a newborn baby child. And I hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I love myself like a newborn baby child.
Thank you so much to our beautiful music team. Thank you, Max, for filling in today. Good morning. I'm Reverend Judy Randiger-Meza. My pronouns are she, her. Good morning to everyone. Welcome to those in the room and to all of those who are joining with us online today. And if you are online, say hello to Jonathan Hoffman. He's one of our licensed spiritual practitioners, and he is the online host this morning. We invite everyone to help us serve more people and spread the word about Cityside. Please share the live stream link, check in on Facebook and Instagram, and share posts to let people know that you are here. For folks in the room, we do have the purple You Belong Here cards at the back by the door. Take a few and share them with family and friends. It tells people who we are and what we're all about. So spread the word. At Cityside, we embrace new thought and wisdom teachings and are affiliated with Centers for Spiritual Living. We honor all paths and provide a supportive community where you can explore your own spiritual path. So we like to do our vision and mission statement out loud as a community. It really grounds us in what we are all about here. So please join me. At Cityside, we envision a diverse and empowered community that is practicing unconditional love in action. Our mission is to create safe and inclusive spaces to explore and deepen our faith, grow in spiritual consciousness, and express our authentic nature. Donna Pitts is another one of our licensed spiritual practitioners who is holding vigil today, which is a meditative state that creates the space, the container, for us to have an even more transformative experience today in our service. Today we have our own Reverend Aimee Daniels continuing our theme, Overcoming Fear, with a talk entitled The Mirror and the Myth. seeing through fear's false reflections. You know, recently I posted a quote on social media that says, "I am trying to keep my soul alive in times not hospitable to soul." That's so relevant for me, and I know for many people, and I think what's behind all of the chaos and all of the divisiveness and even the violence is fear. So I'm looking forward to Aimee's wisdom that she's going to share with us. It's really a topical subject for us these days. So it's time for our community greeting. So we're going to take a couple of minutes to talk to each other, say hello, maybe say hello to someone that you don't know, perhaps or don't know well. So usually the hosts come up with some sort of prompt if we need one, you know, to get people talking. And I like to hook mine to the theme of the month, but not always, and not today. So apropos of nothing, I would like to know, at what age do adult children lose the eye roll? I have a couple of those adult children. They're in their 30s, and I don't get the eye roll very often anymore, but once in a while. So it's like, is it me or is it them? And I realize that not everyone are parents in the room or online, so you may not be able to answer that question from that perspective, but we were all kids and we were all teenagers. So at what age did you lose the eye roll? Or my personal favorite, the heavy sigh. So we have a couple of minutes for this conversation, but remember, we do have to get back together and continue our conversation. So when you hear the music stop, will you please come back to your seats and stop talking? Thank you.
All right, I would invite everybody to return to your seats, and we will now that we've all greeted each other and know each other better, we will move on. So right now we have a reading for today, and this is adapted from the book When Fear Speaks, Listen by Dennis Merritt Jones. I like this. It's so fear often shows up in the voice of judgment of ourselves or others. It tells us stories about lack, separation, unworthiness, but these stories are not the truth. They are false reflections in a distorted mirror. We must be willing to look again with spiritual eyes to see past the myth of fear and into the truth that we are already whole, that we are connected to something vast and sacred. There is enough, and we are enough. When fear speaks, listen, but don't believe everything it says. Instead, listen for what it is pointing to. Behind every fearful story is a deeper invitation to remember who you really are. Yes. So now I invite you, we're going to do a short meditation. I invite you to turn within, focus on your breath, and enter a time of stillness for the next couple of minutes. I invite you all to open your eyes, come back to the room, and join us as a group. And I will share a short blessing. I know that we are all one with Spirit. I know that love, peace, and joy live in, as, and through everyone in this room today and everyone that is joining us online. I particularly bless everyone serving today, including the great music team, the great tech team, the welcome team, and all the other volunteers who create the space for this wonderful service. And I bless Reverend Aimee as she explores how spiritual awareness invites us to return to wholeness and connection with ourselves, others, and the divine. I bless it all and call it good. And so it is.
Our feature song today is Stand in the Light by Jordan Smith. Stand in the light and be seen as we are. Didn't I tell you I hear what you say? Never look back as you're walking away. Carry the music, the memories, and keep them inside you. Laugh every day. Don't stop those tears from falling down. This is who I am inside. This is who I am. I'm not gonna hide. 'Cause the greatest risk will ever take us by far. Stand in the light and be seen as we are. Stand in the light and be seen as we are. With courage and kindness, hold on to your faith. You get what you give, and it's never too late to reach for the branch and climb up, leaving sadness behind you. Fight hard for love. We can never give enough. This is who I am inside. This is who I am. I'm not gonna hide. 'Cause the greatest risk will ever take us by far. Stand in the light and be seen as we are. Stand in the light and be seen as we are. Riding the storms that come raging towards us as we die. Holding our breath as we break through the surface with arms open wide. With arms open wide. This is who I am inside. This is who I am. I'm not gonna hide. 'Cause the greatest risk will ever take us by far. Stand in the light and be seen as we are. Stand in the light and be seen as we are. 'Cause the greatest risk will ever take us by far. Stand in the light and be seen as we are. Stand in the light and be seen as we are. Stand in the light and be seen as we are.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be back. I was on vacation and, I was like, I missed seeing everyone. We were on a very different time zone, so I didn't even, usually I tune in when I'm not in town, and I didn't tune in. So it's really great to be back. I love that song that Paige sang for us, because I think we can look at standing in the light in a couple different ways. We can look at it like, okay, I feel free and safe to show up as I am in the world. But we can also look at it and say, I'm standing in the light of my own consciousness, and I know my wholeness, and I see who I am that is bigger than this experience that I'm having as a human being. So I love that song. He won The Voice. Jordan Smith won The Voice. I didn't know that. So anyway, so let's dive in. And could you go to the first slide, Dom? And I just want to give a special blessing on Dom. By the way, we're having tech problems this morning. And those of you who are online, give him some love, because at one point it was like, I don't know if this is going to work today. And he got it working. So thank you, Dom. So there's an old story about a sculptor who was asked how he created such a beautiful angel from a block of stone. And he smiled and he said, I simply chipped away everything that wasn't the angel. And so for us, when we think about our own identity, especially spiritually, we're just kind of chipping away everything that isn't our spiritual identity. And fear and the stories that we're told about ourselves, the stories we take on as children about ourselves, can really make us think we're not our true self. And so I love that as an analogy because we're just really unpeeling all the layers that don't belong to us. So as Gordon read to us from When Fear Speaks, Listen, fear can show up as the voice of judgment. Fear can show up a lot of ways, but judgment, we're going to talk about judgment, and then we're going to talk about selfishness, which I was like, selfishness? But we'll get to that. But, the whole idea is that of this theme is really like we take on false reflections, we take on false identities, and they're the things that probably get created in our minds when we're little, right? Because we're trying to figure out the world. Don Miguel Ruiz talks about this in his own experience. He says, when I was little, like all of us, the first thing you get is language. Right? You get language, and then people start to communicate to you, and then they start to tell you who you are or who you should be, like be a good boy. Oh, it's better to be a doctor or a lawyer or a whatever. And we start to judge ourselves according to someone else's voice. And so that's really where it starts. And so what does the voice of fear often say to us? The voice of fear is actually a messenger. It reminds us kind of where we're disconnected from ourself, right? Or where we're feeling uncomfortable with things. And sometimes fear shows up as self-judgment. So when we think about judgment, sometimes it's self-judgment. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not smart enough. I should be a different person than I am. And sometimes it shows up as a judgment of others, right? And I think we can all relate to that right now. Like, you're wrong, black and white thinking, all of that, you're the problem. And like just humanly, we can all do that in our heads sometimes, don't we? Yeah, I know I do. I'm like, I always think it's funny when I get the talk I need to hear. It happened again, right? And so what we want to do is we want to begin to recognize these voices that are playing in our head that are not us. Could you go to the next slide, Ben? And as I said, our childhood mind makes up solutions, right? And anything we put in our mind, just think about the brain for a second. It forms a channel with a neurotransmitter, and it's like playing a program, right? It's just playing a program that we wired in it at some point. And in his book, Positive Intelligence, Shirzad Chamine says we all have saboteurs, right, that come up in our brain. I like to say when we get triggered or when life happens, right, we all have these saboteurs. And they're really guardians that help us to survive our childhood, right? It's whether it's a real threat or an imagined threat, or we're just trying to figure out like what's going on. We sense things as kids. Like I relate to that from my own childhood. Like my parents, I've shared this before, my parents didn't have the best marriage, and it was sort of like the Cold War. And it sounds terrible, but that created in me the need to make everything okay, right? And that still comes up for me when there's conflict happening or whatever. That still comes up for me because that got wired in me when I was little. So our saboteurs are there to help us, but as we become adults, we don't need them anymore. But our brain still works that way. And we all have the first saboteur, which is the judge. And the judge is the universal saboteur that afflicts everybody. And if you don't think you have the judge, just walk around during the week and notice how often you're judging. And I think it's hard to tell the difference sometimes between judging and discerning, right? Like, am I just discerning that I don't like something and it doesn't work for me, or am I judging? I think sometimes that can be a little tricky. I know it is for me. But the judge is the universal saboteur that afflicts everyone. It's the voice in your head that beats you up over mistakes and things that have made. And it warns you all the time about like what could go wrong, right? Like think about it, it's just assessing. And sometimes this is the voice that keeps us up in the middle of the night. Anyone ever have that? I get the Sunday nights sometimes worrying about the week. But the judge is fixated on what's wrong with you and with other people. And Another clue to the voice in our head is just like if you hear the word should or must, then that's the voice in your head talking. That's sort of that voice driving you. And the invitation is to treat it just as that. It's just the voice in your head. It's actually not you. And it's pretty easy sometimes to think the voice in our head is the truth about us, isn't it? Or it's our life. Right? But who you are is bigger than that. Spiritually, if you ever take a step back and really think about it, like, you ever think how silly it is that we get so upset about things? It's like our spirit's eternal. Like, this is just the play we're acting in right now. And I don't mean to discount life in any way, but it's like if you can pull yourself back a step, sometimes you just look and you got to kind of laugh, right? But the voice is there to be a messenger. And when you notice that you're feeling fear, you just want to talk to it like a voice, and then you want to take it into your meditation, and you want to listen to it, take it into your practice, because if something is up for you, it's got a message for you. Right? It doesn't mean you're broken. Before I came into this teaching, I think I thought I was broken. Like, I had a guy who painted my house, and he's like, "You're not broken. You don't have to fix yourself." But you know what? I didn't get that then. Right? It wasn't until I came into the scene, and I'm not saying I'm perfect. It's more just like, no, I'm allowed to be imperfect because I'm a human being. And my imperfection doesn't make me bad, right? Like, we all have it, right? But who we are is we're bigger than that. And so the voice is a messenger, and we just want to ask it to tell us and we're going to do a little exercise later, a little practice together, but we just want to ask it, what does it want us to know about our life, right? What's here for us? Sometimes it's as simple as saying, like, I need to give myself a little bit of grace. Sometimes it's like, ooh, I'm kind of in a place where maybe I do actually need to make some changes in my life, but just to listen to it and to know that there's something here for you. So Dennis Merritt Jones talks about this in the book. He says, we don't need to fix ourselves, we need to remember ourselves. I really like that quote. We need to remember ourselves. And so when you look in the mirror, what do you see? Do you see someone who's inherently worthy? Or do you hear the voice of not enoughness? I don't know about anyone else. I don't look in the mirror and say, gosh, I'm just so worthy. I look in the mirror and go, where did that wrinkle come from? Or, But we're not really taught that, right? We're not really taught, or at least most of us are not taught to think well of ourselves. In fact, I would say when I was growing up, we were taught not to think too well about ourselves. Like, don't be too big for your britches, all of that. And to realize that we can hold ourselves in a place of wholeness and enoughness, but not be conceited, right? And fear distorts our view of things because when we're afraid, it magnifies it. Have you ever had that happen where you just feel like the fear took you over, right? And then we don't see things the way they are. I was thinking when I was working on my talk, I was thinking about when I got divorced. I didn't really have a spiritual practice then. But I would just literally lay on the couch for hours if something was bothering me, which is really not my personality to lay on the couch. But that was the only thing I knew to do. I laid on the couch. And what I noticed is as I laid there, whatever was bothering me went away. And, it just got softer. And so that's the invitation is, wholeness is not about being perfect. It's about remembering that nothing that's essential about you can ever be lost. That's what wholeness is, and that's really what we're going for. And there's a great story I love to illustrate this. It's a story from India. It's about a water bearer, and he had 2 pots, and one of the pots was perfect, and the other pot was cracked. And apparently he could talk to his pots. And one of them said, I'm so sorry, I'm like not doing my job because I'm cracked. And every time you get to where you're taking the water, half of it is gone. And he said, I planted seeds along your side of the path, and your cracks watered the flowers. And, you've been serving beauty all along. And just this recognition that the things we see as flaws, sometimes those are actually the gifts that we are offering. Love that story. Byron Katie tells us that the world is nothing but my perception of it. I can only see what I believe. And when we judge others, when we gossip, when we criticize, when we withdraw, what we're often trying to do is deflect attention from taking a look at what's going on inside of us. And Byron Katie teaches us to just really in the same way, to look at it as a thought. Do I have to believe this thought that my mind is having right now? So if I believe that I'm separate, if I believe that I'm not good enough, I see evidence of that. And so we want to ask the question, if I'm, particularly as it relates to others, if I am judging someone else, what is it that I cannot be with? Right? What is it about what's happening that I cannot be with? And I like to ask myself, where does that live in me? Because I find, like even if I don't feel that I'm that way right now, but if I take a look at it, I'm like, okay, when have I ever been that way? And really, it's about what we believe inside, too, right? Sometimes we can't be with something because it violates one of our beliefs, right? And that's kind of, when I think about the world right now, I think that's what triggers me. Some of the things going on violates my belief that everyone should have the right to be who they are, right? I'm going to come back to that in a minute. So let's talk for a minute about selfishness. As I said, when I first saw the title of this chapter, selfishness, I thought, what is selfishness doing in a book about fear? I just didn't instantly get it. And what he's really talking about here is believing in lack. Right? If I'm selfish, if I hoard, if I need things to be a certain way, then that really means I believe in lack, right? I have a scarcity mindset. And if you look at all the conflicts in the world right now, think about it, in our country, where we're at politically, all the things we're seeing play out is really based on people's belief in scarcity. It's a need to have a certain outcome. It's a, need to have the world or our country be a certain way, but it's really a belief in scarcity. Like it's a belief that God is not our source, right? And Michael Beckwith says lack is not the absence of stuff. It's the absence of awareness of your source. And your source is not just about money. Your source is about your spirit, right? It's like knowing that we're always okay, regardless of what is happening. That is a connection to our source. But what do I do? What do we all do if we feel cut off from source? Like we grasp, we hold on to things. We might become very stingy. We might not be generous, either physically or emotionally, right? It's normal. But when I trust that I'm connected to this thing which is infinite, then generosity is going to flow more naturally from me. And that's emotional generosity too, right? I would say when I think about my own self, I'm like, if I'm really, the two are actually a little bit connected for me. Like if I'm judging someone else and I'm being stingy with my emotional generosity about them, then I'm really living in lack. Right? I'm not seeing the truth of the other person. I'm not seeing them in their wholeness. Does that make sense? So instead of practicing selfishness, we want to practice awareness of the sufficiency that is always present. And I want to say, if you're personally experiencing lack, because we all go through times like that in our life too, right? That we have times where things feel more abundant. We have times where things feel more like they're flowing. But if you're experiencing lack, it can be really hard, right? It can be hard. And I think that's when we need to honestly lean into each other. I think prayer is a major thing to help us shift an experience of lack. It's a major thing in helping us to shift an experience of like just being caught in judgment or just being caught in the triggering voice in our brain, because sometimes we just need to break the pattern of what we're doing. And so I just want to talk for another minute about what's going on in the world right now, because I think, we just came back from vacation. We were in Iceland and Norway, and it was great. But we went to the Nobel Peace Museum, and as we walked in, we decided to sign up for a little tour. The gentleman would walk you around. He'd explain about the Nobel Peace Museum. And he says, "Is anyone American here?" We raised our hands. There were like 5 people. And I could tell he had some judgment, right? Because Norway was inhabited by the Nazis for 5 years. So they're like super like progressive and whatever. And I said, yeah, I kind of whispered under my breath, like, "Hey, I'm sorry. We're kind of a mess. I know, But I was walking through the museum and I felt this deep sense of sadness. One of the, because first of all, inspiring, right? All these people who are honored have done amazing work in the world to try to bring forth peace. But one of the honorees was an organization that helps prevent nuclear activity in the world. They're like an anti-nuclear organization that was put together by the survivors of Hiroshima. And there's all these terrible pictures about like what happened to people. And I was sitting there as an American, and I was like, oh my God, we did that, right? And so I share that because it's like, I feel like we're running into situations like that a lot right now in life, where it's just like things are happening, like we don't have a container to put them in. I don't have a container to put them in. And I try not to be like on social media all day, every day. But I think within what is happening, for us to recognize spirit in the world, I think we need to find what we're called to do with what we see. My sister texts me constantly about whatever she's reading. And yesterday she sent me something, and it was about something, about companies leaving America or something like that. And I said, this looks a little fake to me. And I put it into ChatGPT. I'm like, can you fact check this? And can you tell me if this is true or not true or whatever? And it came back with something, and we figured out it wasn't true. But my point in sharing this about my sister is, even though she's following this stuff every day, she's doing something that's making her feel better. And what she's doing is she's helping a candidate where she lives in Minnesota to get elected, and she's gotten politically active, which is something she's never done her whole life. And I look at that and I think she's taken something that's triggering to her, and she's figured out a way to do something with it. And going to the Nobel Museum made me, we were leaving, I said to Rich, I'm like, gosh, I just feel like maybe we should be doing something in the world to work for peace. That was the inspiration I had coming out of there. And I share that because I have no idea what that is that I might be supposed to do, but I think we all need to ask the question, like, if we're triggered by what's around us, what's ours to do? And like I look at that, and I said this already, but like my beliefs are that everyone should be treated fairly, people should be allowed to live the life they want to live, and that we don't need to control everything, right? And so for me, it's like taking a step back, looking at it like, okay, what beliefs of mine are being triggered that are leading me into judgment or into, scarcity thinking? And, just taking a step and taking that into practice and say, okay, let me sit with it. Because when we're emotional too, I don't want you to stuff down your emotions. I'm going to come back to that in a minute, but just sit with it and see what emerges. And I meant to say this earlier, but I want to talk about emotions just for a second before we move on, because when we think about judgment and we think about anything that triggers us, emotions are a natural thing. And we can think on this spiritual journey that we're not supposed to have them anymore, right? Like when you get into meditation and your brain gets hijacked by whatever you're worried about. Anybody feeling me right now? We can think that that's not supposed to happen to us anymore. But the truth is, we're human. And it's probably always going to happen. And you don't want to suppress your feelings. Like I grew up in a house that suppressed feelings. Half the time I don't know what mine are until I go sit, right? But if we suppress what we're feeling, then it continues to live in us. Instead of in meditation to just really let it go, right? Like just allow it to pass, feel it, allow it to pass through you, and let it go. Because if we don't do that, then we're just going to keep carrying it. It's just going to keep getting triggered. And so I also offer that because if you are meditating and you're noticing that that voice is still active in you, don't criticize yourself. Just let yourself feel the emotions. We're going to do a process in a few minutes to help you move through and start to ask the questions about what it is that's triggering you. So could you bring up the slide that says fear to faith? Dom, thanks. So I'm going to walk you through a little process that we're going to do this together in a meditation in a few minutes, but I just want to walk you through this because this is a way that you can begin to identify when you are feeling triggered or you're feeling fear, what's underneath it. And this was created by Lloyd and Marcia Strom. I should have attributed that to them on here. But the idea is to first identify the fear. And you can do this in meditation, which is what we're going to do today, but you can also do this journaling if that's kind of your thing. You could sit down and write down the questions and you could just see what comes up for you. But the first question is, what's the fear that's happening, right? What's the fear? You know, maybe it's I'm not enough, there's not enough, they won't love me. I'll just give a personal example. We had a little discord between, a little family discord on a little part of our trip. And I started, you know, kind of within myself, it like brings up anxiety for me when people are not agreeing, right? It wasn't a big thing, but like my avoider that hates conflict was just like, oh, I gotta get out of here, right? So like if I'm feeling a fear like that, like, and what's the fear? You know, it's like I can just notice and like, okay, what's my fear? I'm afraid that we're going to become disconnected, or I'm going to be afraid I'm going to not be part of something, or whatever. That's like my fearful voice, right? And then you want to feel it fully, right? It's how you feel. Don't judge it, right? Like right now, I'm feeling anxious because I want to make everything okay, and I want to avoid any kind of conflict under any circumstance. So that's what would be happening in my head, just using myself as an example. You got to honor it, though. Like, what's underneath it? Like, if I want to please everyone and avoid conflict, what's underneath it? It's just because I want to be connected, right? It's like it's a call for connection, right? And then I need to reveal the lie. What's the lie? You know, what's the story that the fear is telling me? And the lie in my case, just to continue to use myself as an example, the lie is that if you have conflict in any situation, that something's going to fall apart. I don't really actually know where that got created in me, right? Maybe it was experiencing the Cold War with my parents. Like, they didn't split up. They were married for 45 years, but like, you know, just the connection wasn't there. So I think for me, the lie is I won't be connected. And that's probably part of the fear, too, as I'm saying this. I'm just working on myself here. But what's the spiritual truth? The spiritual truth is we're always connected. That's a spiritual truth. And the spiritual truth is we're never disconnected from our source. We're never disconnected from our spirit. We can just think we are, right? We can convince ourselves we are. And so you affirm the spiritual truth, and then you rest in trust and gratitude. So have you ever noticed when you meditate, you know, that something opens up right? And if you're not having that experience yet, stay with it. You will, I promise. But something opens up. So when we affirm the truth and then we allow it to come into our consciousness and just sit with it, then we begin to experience more peace, which is the beauty of having a spiritual practice, right? It's really, we're taking ourselves out of our human way of being and whatever's happening in the world, and we're just sitting with ourselves. That's what we do when we practice. Dennis Merritt Jones says the opposite of fear is not courage, it's clarity. The opposite of fear is not courage, it's clarity. So if you think about it, judgment's just a mirror for us. Selfishness is just like a mask and a way we protect ourselves. And scarcity is a myth, right? This universe is abundant, it's sufficient. But when we have clarity, fear is no longer in charge. So that's what we're going for. We want to get to a place of clarity. And really to know the truth, to say to ourselves, like, I'm not separate, I'm not lacking, I'm not broken, I'm whole, I'm connected, I'm loved. Simply because I am, by the way, right? Simply because I am. So we're going to move into a practice now, and if the music team wants to come up and give me a little bit of an underscore, this is just going to be a short meditation, which is going to move you into the process of starting to work with these questions that we just did. And so I just invite you to take a deep breath and turn within. And close your eyes, and just get centered in your body. And I invite you to bring to mind a situation or anything in your life where you feel like fear is speaking to you. It might be a judgment about something. It might be comparing yourself. It might be a sense of lack. It might just be a sense like, I'm not settled. But just bring to mind an area in your life where you're feeling that way. And without trying to fix it or figure it out or do all the things we do to ourselves in our minds, just let it be there and just breathe into it. Just ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? And then ask, what do I believe that this fear says about me or the world around me? What am I afraid this fear has to say about me or the world around me? And just breathe into it. Just hold it lightly. Give yourself some grace here. And just softly speak to your heart and say, this is not the truth of me. And ask your spirit to reveal to you, what is the lie here? What am I believing that isn't true? And ask your spirit, what's the spiritual truth here? And let this deeper truth arise within you. And in your mind's eye, you can speak to yourself, I am enough. There is enough. I am not separate. I'm already whole. And just breathe into this and just rest in this truth and just breathe more deeply into your heart, into this sense of peace and well-being, which is the truth of your spirit. And just feel gratitude arising within you. Just gratitude for whatever has been revealed to you. Gratitude for the spiritual truth you want to call forth. And gratitude for this sense of well-being that is always available to you when you turn within. And just breathe into this as we move into a moment of prayer. So in this moment, I am knowing the presence and power of Spirit surrounding and supporting us in each and every moment. This love, this grace, this wisdom, this inner freedom, this wholeness, this eternal beingness. And I know that I am one with this. I am one with this eternal spirit. Just as each person hearing my words is one with this eternal spirit of love, of grace, of wholeness, of well-being, of inner freedom. And so from this place of oneness, I speak my word for each and every one of us, just knowing and affirming divine clarity. I declare that by the power of this word, whatever the fear is that any of us are feeling, I just declare that in the awareness of the fear, it dissolves. And I know that it is replaced by something greater. It is replaced by the divine possibility, the divine quality, the spiritual truth, wholeness, health, happiness, joy, prosperity, any word we might add for spiritual quality. I just know that that is what is being revealed for each and every one of us. I know and declare that God is our source, not just of our abundance, but God is the source of our well-being, of our wholeness. God is the very source of our eternal life, this love that always and everywhere is present. So this is what I say yes to on all of our behalf. I know that Spirit is holding each and every one of us in love, in grace, in well-being, in goodness, in happiness and possibility and choice. And so I just am grateful for this. I'm grateful for the shift which is happening by the power of this word. I'm grateful for the wholeness of each and every person hearing my words. I'm grateful really for all of our wholeness, seen and unseen. I'm grateful for the revelation of Spirit as our lives. And I'm grateful for this shift, this inner freedom, this light that is the truth of who we are. And with so much gratitude, I simply say, and so it is, amen.
Thank you, Reverend Aimee. We're now going to stand and sing together, Use Me. Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Command my hands, what must they do? Command my life, it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creation. makes all things new. And God needs us to shine its light as me, as you so use me. Oh God, I stand for you and hear all abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
So thank you, Aimee. I think many things to take away, but chipping away anything that is not an angel, I think is something that I'm really going to hold with me this week. So now is our time of offering, and as you know, Cityside is a community-supported organization, and each week we practice conscious giving, which allows us to make this service and other offerings available to you. Your financial support makes everything that Cityside does possible. And you know, we do a lot of things anymore. We have this whole space 7 days a week, 24/7. So we have a lot of offerings, and so it's wonderful to have that kind of ability now. And so I financially support Cityside for that reason, and so many others, that there's so much available to us to grow and deepen in our faith and our connection to one another. And I know you each have your own reasons for giving, and we thank you for your gifts. If you scan the QR code that you see on the screen, you will be led to your giving options. If you prefer to give in person, there's a giving box right here, and you can please use an envelope, put your name on it so we can honor your and recognize your tax-deductible gifts. So we are practicing the law of giving and receiving here in the room, so we are giving out affirmation cards as we receive your gifts. So please feel free to take a couple and give some away, leave them in a coffee shop or on the bus. Just make someone's day. So please join me in our giving affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am.
I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. And it returns to me. Yes, it returns to me.
Thank you so much for your gifts. Thank you for creating this beautiful community together. We couldn't do it without you, so please know how much it is appreciated. I'm Reverend Linda. I use she, her pronouns, and if you are joining us for the first time, we welcome you, and thank you for being here. You can subscribe to our newsletter by scanning the QR code, and that should also be on online. And you can always go to our website, cityside.me, at any time. That sign up is there on our website, and all of the events that I'm going to share about have more details and the ability to register there online. So just quickly, I'm going to do a little high level. Tomorrow night is Reverend Mark Anthony with Waking Up from the Matrix. That is the first and third Mondays of the month. This is the third Wednesday, which will be Reverend Daryl Jones with Soul Gym. He does a spiritual practice night. And just quickly, I'm going to mention some more unique things. We do have a sound bath coming up. We have a breath work coming up. And in early August, we have Spiritual Cabaret, a spiritual comedy with Suzanne Soul, which will be really fun. And I hope you'll all join us for that. So see me after service if you have any questions or if you want to register. Practitioner Krista Bremberg will be offering prayer in the prayer room back there. If you just line up in the back, she'll let you know when it is your turn. And likewise, Jonathan will be offering prayer online. He'll put a link in the chat so you can join him in a Zoom room. Next week, we have Reverend Mark Anthony Lord continuing our July theme, Overcoming Fear. And until then, stay safe and have a lovely week. Thank you.
All right, we're going to stand and sing and dance. This is All Is Well. I'm not worried about tomorrow. Today I declare freedom from yesterday, mistakes of the past. Today all things are made brand new. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? I can change my reality by changing my mind. Perfect peace, joy and happiness is yours and it is mine. I am loved and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? Let me hear you. All is well, all is well. Even Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, all is well, all is well and unfolding as it should. I am cloaked in the Spirit, I am fed by the divine. I am one with all that is. My soul is free from time. I am blessed and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well, all is well, all is well and unfolding as it should. Have a beautiful week, Cityside.